If you were to stand trackside at a Formula One circuit, the spectacle would feel almost superhuman. The cars flash past in a blur, a streak of color and the echo of noise. Their braking points measured not in meters but in heartbeats. Drivers hurtle into corners at 200 miles per hour, trusting a combination of downforce and split-second reflexes to keep them glued to the asphalt. It is an astonishing display of nerve and calculation, yet on another weekend at another circuit, a different drama unfolds. MotoGP riders accelerate down similar straights with no protective cockpit around them, their bodies exposed to the wind and the risk. They throw themselves into corners so deeply that knees and elbows skim the tarmac, balancing on two palm-sized contact patches of rubber. They fight to keep the bike upright through slides and bumps, knowing that a single misjudgment can flick them violently into a crash. Which of these spectacles represents the true pinnacle of motorsport skill? Is it the almost surgical precision of an F1 driver carving a perfect racing line at immense speed, or the fearless artistry of a MotoGP rider leaning far beyond what intuition says is possible? Is it more skillful to brake from 200 miles per hour to a walking pace in the cocoon of a carbon fiber chassis, or to do the same while fully exposed, feeling every gust of wind and every twitch of a spinning tire? Formula One drivers face enormous physical and mental challenges. They must withstand lateral G-forces that can exceed 6 times their body weight, endure cockpit temperatures that sap strength, and manage complex controls while reading the subtle cues of tire grip and aero balance. Each lap demands unwavering concentration. A single lapse can mean losing crucial tenths of a second, but inside that cockpit, they are strapped in, surrounded by energy-absorbing crash structures and the Halo safety device. They rely on a team of engineers constantly feeding them data and adjusting strategy in real time. The car is a collaborative masterpiece, and the driver its final, indispensable component. A MotoGP rider lives a different reality. Nothing separates them from the elements. Their body is not just along for the ride, it is the primary control surface. Every lean, every shift of weight, every flick of an ankle or knee decides whether the bike finds grip or tumbles into disaster. They must sense the exact moment the rear wheel begins to slide and catch it instinctively, because hesitation of even a fraction of a second can be catastrophic. The G-forces are not cushioned by a seat or restrained by a harness. They run directly through muscles and bones. The bike is fast, but it is also delicate, and its stability depends on the rider's continuous physical improvisation. So what does it mean to say one sport requires more skill? Is it the ability to harness a 1,000 horsepower hybrid engine and generate cornering forces that would shred normal tires? Or is it the ability to ride a barely tamed prototype motorcycle at 220 miles per hour with only 2 wheels separating body from tarmac? One discipline rewards technical communication and mechanical symbiosis. The other demands direct, unfiltered mastery of balance and nerve. Consider braking. An F1 car can decelerate from 200 miles per hour with astonishing speed, using immense downforce and carbon brakes. The driver feels brutal G-forces, but remains strapped securely, the car aerodynamically stabilized. A MotoGP rider makes the same deceleration while bracing with core and arms, body exposed to the wind, front tire threatening to lift the rear clear of the ground. Which action calls for finer instinct, trusting complex aero and brake systems, or physically wrestling momentum with nothing but strength, traction and courage? Or think about the dance through corners. Formula One drivers guide their cars with micro-adjustments, steering with delicate precision, trusting wings and ground effect to pin them down. MotoGP riders dive in head and shoulders first, shifting body weight to keep tires hooked to the track, steering partly with throttle and hips, sliding deliberately to hold a line. One relies on the invisible architecture of aerodynamics, the other on a constant human negotiation with the limits of friction and gravity. Both demand excellence, but which is closer to pure human skill? Then there is the question of risk. F1 has worked tirelessly to improve safety, and today a driver can walk away from accidents that would once have been unthinkable. In MotoGP, despite improved suits and airbag systems, a crash still means tumbling across tarmac and gravel at highway speeds, bones and skin taking the punishment. Riders know this every time they lean for the apex. Does accepting that level of personal danger, and still pushing to the limit, represent a deeper kind of courage and control? Even the idea of motorsport's pinnacle is worth examining. Formula One is often described as the summit because its cars are the fastest over a closed circuit, products of vast budgets and engineering sophistication. Yet if pinnacle means the ultimate test of raw human skill and risk, can we ignore what MotoGP riders face each lap? Rally drivers charging blind through forests at night, or endurance racers battling fatigue for 24 hours, might also lay claim to that crown. Perhaps the notion of a single pinnacle is too narrow. Perhaps the term must expand to recognize that speed alone does not define the highest challenge. This is not to diminish the genius of a Formula One driver. Their ability to manage strategy, execute overtakes at 200 miles per hour, and find the perfect breaking point lap after lap is a marvel. But MotoGP demands something uniquely primal. The rider is the aerodynamics, the suspension, and often the last line of safety. Every movement counts. Every corner is a calculated gamble. They embody the truth that in racing, as in life, ultimate control often comes with ultimate exposure. And when you listen to the way riders describe their craft, the depth of instinct becomes even clearer. Many speak of feeling the tire deform beneath them, of knowing from the smallest vibration when to pick the bike up or push it lower. They ride by sensation as much as sight, trusting muscle memory and balance developed through years of repetition. The motorcycle becomes an extension of their own nervous system. By contrast, while F1 drivers also cultivate phenomenal sensitivity, reading changes in downforce through steering weight or feeling a slide before it shows on telemetry, the feedback is filtered through machinery and electronics. Both are subtle arts, but one asks the human body to do more of the sensing moment by moment. The mental dimension is no less striking. An F1 driver manages complex strategies and communicates with engineers, anticipating pit stops, tire phases, and energy deployment while driving at the limit. A MotoGP rider, by necessity, carries most of that calculation internally. They cannot rely on frequent, multi-channel instructions while negotiating a corner at full lean. Their focus must stay pure and uninterrupted. Mistakes have no safety net. In those seconds, every thought and movement is their own, unmediated by a team's real-time guidance. Even the atmosphere of competition underscores the difference. Formula One is a long championship fought across strategy and development as much as raw driving. MotoGP, while equally global, often feels more gladiatorial. With fewer strategic pivots during the race, more of the duel happens directly on track. Rider against rider, reflex against reflex. The drama is immediate and personal, the outcome decided not in pit walls or data screens, but in the precise dance of throttle and brake. When all these dimensions are weighed, the physical demands, the intimacy of control, the constant risk, the requirement for perfect balance and lightning reflexes, it becomes difficult to escape a conclusion. Formula One remains the technological summit of circuit racing, the purest display of engineering speed. Yet from the standpoint of raw human skill, of what the individual must sense, endure and master without layers of mechanical mediation, MotoGP stands apart. Its riders continually test the absolute limit of what a human being can do on a machine. So when we ask which sport truly requires more skill, we are really asking what we value as the essence of motorsport. If it is sheer velocity and technical sophistication, F1 still wears the crown. But if it is the pure confrontation between human ability and physical risk, if skill is defined by how completely a competitor must fuse body, mind, and instinct with the machine, then MotoGP demands more. It shows that the pinnacle of motorsport may not be measured only in speed, but in how close the athlete stands to danger, and how much of the outcome depends on human touch alone. And perhaps that is the lasting question for fans and historians alike. Should the highest accolade in motorsport belong to the fastest technology or to the discipline that places the greatest premium on human instinct? Formula One will always stand as the ultimate engineering theatre, but MotoGP reminds us that racing began as a duel between person and machine with nothing in between. It is this unfiltered contest that may best capture what drew humanity to racing in the first place, the desire to measure pure skill against raw risk, to find the line where control meets chaos, and hold it for just one more corner. That is why, when we speak not only of speed, but of the sheer human capacity to command a machine at the edge of possibility, MotoGP ultimately emerges as the more demanding art.